being a gay person, I've never understood gay pride. Now, I'm not ashamed to be gay anymore. As I mentioned, I never understood that concept because it's like, what is there to be proud of? I didn't accomplish this. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of a best-selling book.
You're actually touching on something that I think has been a growing problem with the Democrats' identity, because especially beginning in 2015, and Senator Chuck Schumer, House, minority leader, is on tape saying this during a Washington Post interview. They intentionally were moving away from working class voters and just kind of doubling down on their culture war identity.
Wow.
And when you do that, when you move away from the economic issues that used to make the Democratic Party great,
the Clinton party,
and you just focus on culture wars, of course you're going to expect that. Of course they're going to use various people with different backgrounds as pawns for their political campaigns. I'm not surprised by that at all. But that strategy ain't working anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely not. And I want to say one quick point, one thing to your point.
Yeah.
The T has absolutely hijacked the LGB. Let's not conflate the two.
I don't even get the acronym, though. I've never understood the acronym. So first of all, the queer people, I don't even know what that means, by the way. Gays are in there, bisexual people are in there. So you sleep with women, you sleep with dogs, you sleep with, everybody's in there, except the heterosexual.
Intersex,
you guys don't have a letter. Where's the H?
And ally. No, there's ally. There's ally. So that is for the straight people. They
But yeah, Zach, let's take a look at her take. We announced this live on air yesterday when the news came to us that this new show has emerged, produced by Valuetainment, aka Patrick Bet David, PBD, right? They have a new show, a new channel called Her Take, and it's basically Grifter Central. All of the worst people, specifically women. This is a ladies' show, apparently. All these grifters and villains, honestly, uniting for just an absolute clash of cringe. This is one of the worst things I've ever watched. It somehow was even worse than what I imagined, because we were roasting the hell out of this yesterday, Zach. But somehow it was even worse than I was expecting, even worse than I was picturing.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely unfathomably bad. Guys, we're going to play the intro. Even the intro, guys, we'll play like a quick snippet. They have to kiss PBD's ass. The way that this starts out, it's crazy. I was playing it on the TV in the main room in my living room downstairs, and my girlfriend was getting outraged. Lisa was just fucking fuming at the words that were coming out of these women's mouth. It was hilarious. But yeah, let's go ahead and plow right into it, guys. You've got to see it to believe it. It's performed a little bit better than I was anticipating. I was hoping that we would come out here and it would have absolutely tanked. When they premiered it, it had about 750 to 1,000 live viewers, and it's now grossed 7.4K thousand views in 3 hours. So, not paltry for a channel with 5.38K subs, but it's noteworthy that the only person on this entire panel that chose to independently promote it was Lindy Lee. Anna Kasparian didn't say anything about this show last night on the Young Turks, as far as I'm aware. She didn't tweet anything from her Twitter account, as far as I'm aware. I didn't see anything from Jillian Michaels' Twitter account about this show. I don't watch her show closely enough to see if maybe she was plugging it over there. And as far as Gavin and I can tell, this other British woman on the right, we don't know who the fuck she is. Dangerfield?
Amy Dangerfield. Actually, I did find out where she comes from, directly from Valuetainment. She's been one of their production assistants or some shit, or social media people, something like that. She's basically one of Patrick Bet David's right-hand women, and he just hooked her up with the job right here on the panel alongside Lindy, Jillian, and Anna. And honestly, she might be the worst person on this panel. I'm not sure if it's British or Australian, but yeah, she has some sort of an accent, and the takes are just god awful.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Oh my gosh, you guys aren't going to believe this shit.
Right now, Trump has made immigration his end-all be-all, but the rate is
sorry, everybody.
So slow because it's judicial slowdown.
Let's talk about the mistake, though, Lindy. Let's talk about the mistake for a second, okay? Because we're talking about a guy who came into the country through legal means. He's gay, and the reason why he fled Venezuela is because he was terrified that the Venezuelan gangs in Venezuela were going to kill him because he's gay. So hold on, let me finish my point. He had a legitimate asylum claim.
Can we just take a step back and ask the broader question? I'm actually with Trump on this. It's one of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party, because my views on immigration have been shifting right. Why is it America's responsibility to grant asylum? Like, why? Why is it our responsibility to take people
It's written into law.
I mean, and it's
like,
something
why
that
do
was
we need to?
revert, right, with the new administration. However, but what about the people who were already here?
We can grandfather them in.
Yeah, but he came in here on legitimate asylum claims.
Guys, this is where it gets really good. Listen to this cringy ass intro. I swear to God.
Welcome to Her Take. This is Patrick Bet-David's brainchild. And we're pretty excited, guys. I had ChatGPT write up a little description for you of what the show is going to be, and I already got in trouble with Lindy because I didn't use Grok. So the debates have
right out the bat, she confesses that she had all the show notes written by ChatGPT, and the only gripe that any of her fellow hosts had was Lindy Lee when she was like, "You should have used Grok." Anna, what are you doing? How are you not humiliated?
Yeah, for one, fuck anyone that uses AI to do something like that. It's literally one of the easiest things ever to write like a fucking description for your own goddamn show. Imagine being so fucking worthlessly lazy, uncreative, untalented. You're just a fucking worthless, rich hack of a human being, and you can't even fucking write the own description for the show that you're producing or starring in or whatever. You have to get ChatGPT to do it. Just totally fucking embarrassing. And then also to call this the brainchild of Patrick Bet-David. Well, I mean, it's not like he's the first person to have the idea of putting 4 commentators on a panel desk and have them talk about the news and argue a little bit. Like, that's not really some great idea. I have a great idea. Let's get 4 of the biggest grifters around and put them on the desk together. Like, okay.
Oh, Gavin and I, we had this great idea where we were going to do a duo, all right, of stoners, all right, and they were going to give their thoughts. Yeah, we broke some new ground, everybody. Give a round of applause. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's his brainchild, and it's the most overdone, contrived thing you've ever heard of in your entire life. And again, I just want to remind everybody how god-awful this set really is. It's so cheap, and you can tell that for being a PBD brainchild, a byproduct of Valuetainment, they clearly aren't ready to invest big bucks in it because they don't anticipate its success.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out, to see if the viewership goes up or if it just goes down, as I suspect. But as you guys are about to see, there's not really much chemistry here between the hosts. You can make a show work with a bunch of idiots as long as there's some chemistry between the idiots. I think PBD's show is proof of that. Yeah, because people like the dynamic between those guys, even when they just sound like, 50 IQ cavemen. At least it's kind of fun. There's a camaraderie. There's a dynamic. They're not afraid to get in the mud. They seem to trust each other and have like some level of respect for each other. As you're about to see here, I don't think this is a very good like pairing of personalities. They don't really seem to like get along all that well, or have a conversation where they're really like connecting in any serious way. It's more just like, oh, now it's my time to talk. Now it's my time to talk. And a lot of talking over each other too, as someone mentioned, almost trying to weirdly go for like more of a Piers Morgan thing. Like, let's all yell over each other and like this kind of shit, instead of like a natural, organic, cohesive, like, hey, we're all here. Even like The View, I don't like The View, but again, those cast of characters, they have a dynamic, they have a chemistry. And for a show that's blatantly ripping off The View, I just don't see any of that.
No, you're right. When you're doing a podcast, when you're hosting a show, when you're doing any kind of broad performance, right? And that's what this is, right? When you're doing a show like this, it is a performance. You're performing as yourself and you're giving your own takes, but it's a dance, right? It's a give and take. And you know how when you watch a ballroom dancer, it's very seamless, right? You might not be into ballroom dancing. You might not be into ballet, but you can tell when somebody's doing it right and you can tell when somebody's doing it wrong. You know what I mean? And when you watch The View, they might have dog shit opinions, but they're dancing with one another. When you watch PBD, they might have dog shit opinions, but they're dancing with one another. They know how to keep your eyes glued to the screen. They know how to engage you. They know how to provoke you. They know how to, gratify you and challenge you and do all of these things, even in their own shallow, grifty ways. It's what keeps an audience fixed on the screen. It's what makes people click. It's what makes people subscribe, right? This is like watching people with 2 left feet try and dance, right? They might know the steps, but the way they're doing it, it's just clunky.
That's ableist.
It's like people who you can play all the chords correctly, but you're not really vibing with the music. You can tell that I can tell that you're like counting and fuckling and
that's anti-white racism.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah. No, 100%. But let's take a look at this. Honestly, the first like 10, 15 minutes are all worth reacting to, in my opinion, Zach, if we just want to let it go. And then there's a few other timestamps I had where it just gets super crazy and people just say crazy fucking insane things that I thought would be fun to react to. But yeah, I'm down to just hit play.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's react to this, guys. They're about to discuss the woman judge that was arrested in Wisconsin, and it gets pretty interesting.
Already begun, but the bottom line is you've got real conversations that happen here. Different voices collide, clash, and sometimes even connect. There are no scripts, except for this one I show with no echo chambers and just smart and spirited
There are no
debates.
scripts.
Ladies,
I read a script.
please introduce yourselves
Yeah,
briefly.
ChatGPT.
I'm Anna Kasparian. I'm the host and executive producer of the Young Turks, and I'm super excited to be here.
Jillian Michaels, I do lunges for a living, so I'll be contributing that later.
I'm Lindy Lee. I'm a political strategist.
She thought
who
that joke
recently
was
left
going to
the
land, but
Democratic
there's no
cult.
audience.
Awesome. I'm Amy Dangerfield. I've been working for Valuetainment for a couple of years now in the media distribution department.
All right, guys, are you ready to jump in?
Let's
Ready?
do
What I
this.
mean about the
We
potential
are going
Australia
to start with Judge Hannah Dugan. So, Anna, you want to set this one up for everybody? What's going on here?
Sure. So this story is definitely catching a lot of attention because of the fact that a judge got arrested by the feds because of the fact that
The
she was
FBI.
unwilling to cooperate with ICE, which had a warrant to arrest and detain an undocumented
Bro, I was
immigrant
about to
who
say that.
was
Not only is everyone's makeup horrible, I couldn't tell if it's everyone's makeup that's horrible or if the lighting is just so horrible that it's making everyone's makeup look bad.
Probably
'Cause
both.
I think it's a mix, but yeah, I'm like, bro, I would be pissed if I was one of these ladies. Specifically, Anna, she kind of got the short end of the stick with this angle. She doesn't have the blue behind her; she has this black, which really brings out all these like contrasts, and it's not good.
Dude, she looks like a Who from Whoville. I'm sorry, Anna. It's not your fault. Whoever did your makeup this morning did you dirty as fucking. Actually, Salisa, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but one time Salisa went on Fox News to debate Tucker Carlson. She did a spectacular job. They were talking about, police brutality and the racist institutional prejudice of the police department, but they had her go see their makeup artist and they caked her up in makeup. I was like, holy shit, she's almost unrecognizable when she's on Fox News. So sometimes conservatives just do that. They hire a whack makeup
I think
artist.
fucking, because I think that the Fox people would do a much better job though than what we see here.
Dude,
Like-
I mean, on Salisa, I'm sorry, but I was like, bro, they put way too much makeup on.
Oh,
her.
fair enough. But like, if you don't know how Salisa looks and you just saw that on TV, you wouldn't. Your first take wouldn't be,
Sure.
"Oh, this lady looks fucked up" or whatever. Like, the only reason it looks weird to us is because, yeah, if we've seen Salisa without that much makeup on, it doesn't look like that. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think the whole point of like cable news makeup is that it's not supposed to be like noticeable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the problem with the lighting here. Is it makes the caked on makeup look way more noticeable than it should be. But again, this isn't really the point. We're getting distracted by the looks of these ladies instead of their thoughts and opinions. Zach.
Yeah, we're about to debunk this too.
actually being heard during this hearing because of the fact that he had severely beaten someone by punching them 30 times.
Oh, one was a woman, right? The guy's girlfriend he punched out.
Interestingly enough, there was two people tried to intervene as he was beating the crap out of this guy. The guy apparently asked him to turn the music down. He had, the man in question is Eduardo Flores Ruiz. Entered the country illegally not once but twice.
He beat someone 30 times because they asked him to turn his music down. That is a bit of an overreaction, bro.
This is crazy because the way that she is presenting this is just, very circumstantial and not correct. So I don't know what the fuck if this guy did it or not, right? But here's what I read in the actual court documents, right? It was a misdemeanor, okay? And the way they set it up to try and make it sound like it was a woman, it was not a woman. It was a domestic assault issue because they were roommates. So there were two roommates. They were having a dispute and they got into a physical altercation after there was a disagreement amongst between them about the volume of music. There was a third person. This person was a woman who tried to break up the fight and said that she was hit during the fight process. Okay. They then go to trial. This Hannah Dugan lady or whatever the fuck her name is, the judge, is trying to hear that case. Okay. She wants people to show up to the court case so she can actually practice the law. She can hear the evidence. She can decide what the punishment could be. People who come into our country and are in our country should have right and access to our laws and all of that shit. What this judge did was, because There were cops just parking out in the parking lot all day, these ICE agents, and like deporting every single person that showed up to their trial. During the course of this trial, while it was still ongoing, it was a misdemeanor trial, no felony trial. She said, go out the side door. Otherwise, ICE agents are going to kidnap you, basically. Okay. Yeah. And she wanted the guy to come back to his next trial date, which she, as the judge, was trying to proceed over, right?
Yeah, I heard about that. I just didn't know that he beat the person 30 times.
That's one person's allegation. That's not, he hasn't been found guilty of that in a court of law.
That's just crazy. It sounds like something that like you would hear almost like made up on Fox News to make you afraid of this person. But obviously, I to be fair, I'm not super familiar with the details of this one. It sounds fake though.
That's exactly why I went to look it up. Do you think if you physically, I want everybody to look me in the eyes and tell me if I physically beat the fuck out of Gavin 30 times and mutilated his face, don't you think I would get a felony charge? Don't you think that would be felony battery, right? This guy has misdemeanor assault and domestic charges. I'm just telling you that it doesn't add up, right? Something does seem like there's a little bit of a hyperbolic nature to this.
Yeah, or the guy was just like on like a fuck ton of coke, maybe, or like just drugs. He's just like
maybe, yeah. I mean, that's definitely possible, right? Wouldn't we like to know what happened by allowing him to go to trial?
It's definitely possible, but yeah, obviously that doesn't mean he shouldn't get due process.
Times.
Right.
And the reason why he was in court is because he severely beat someone, punched him in the face 30 times because the guy asked him to turn his music down.
I'm sure that was all that happened.
At that point, his girlfriend tried to intervene to stop it. He then proceeded to beat her, and then a third person intervened, and that third person was also assaulted by this guy.
Damn,
so basically, ICE showed up. They had a warrant to detain him as he was in court. But the judge, for whatever reason, thought it would be a great idea to assist him in evading ICE, allowed him to leave or exit the building through the juror's entryway, and then ICE basically had to chase the guy to detain him. A week later, the federal government decided, no, she needs to face charges, and they arrested her.
This is absolutely disgusting. Can we please show a picture of what the judge looks like so everyone can see who is masquerading?
Bro, can we all see what you look like? People in glass houses should not cast stones.
Also, watch this. She's about to like demand that they put up the image on screen, and then it never comes up on screen. Go back like 5 seconds.
As a servant, show a picture of what the judge looks like so everyone can see who is masquerading as a servant of the justice system. This person is subverting everything in the name of, frankly, an illegal alien who should not be here.
This woman is so dumb.
Look at her. I mean, come on. This is just, it's a complete
well, she's trying to get them to pull it up as if that even fucking matters at all. They're trying to make fun of this judge because she's like, I guess in their opinion, looks weird or something. Like they did put up a picture of her on screen earlier, and she just looks like a normal like woman in her like, I don't know, 50s, 60s, but they're trying to make fun of her and mock her because they think she has a weird face or that she's ugly or something, as if that has anything to fucking do with it. But apparently the show was so poorly produced that Lindy being like, put the image up on screen again, no one's even heeding her call. Apparently they can't do it or won't do it. But she's like, put it up on screen. It doesn't show up.
Came here the right way. I'm insulted. My family waited years to come here. We, like you, actually, like my friend Amy, we both did things the right way. We didn't hop the line. We didn't storm the southern border.
It cost a lot of money. It took a lot of time. And
came through JFK Airport. My family created hundreds of jobs. We weren't parasites or leeches on the system. This is the way it should be done.
Well, look, I think this particular case goes beyond someone simply entering the country illegally.
Right.
I also don't love using words like parasites to refer to human beings, but putting that aside.
This is your camp now, Anna. These are your people. The guys the cool kids table you wanted to join. Yeah, that's your lot. You are with those people. They advertise the show you're on as the conservative response to The View. Okay, these hateful bigots are your people. Just because you can't stomach the mask off bigotry and you need a little bit of a NIMBY, little bit of a way of disguise. Oh, this guy's so bad. He beat that one guy 30 times. We can take away his rights. No, Anna, you're with a lot of everybody who just hates minorities, brown people they suspect and otherize. That's your crew.
Yep. And it gets worse. This lady's about to double down on the parasite language throughout this whole episode. It gets more and more embarrassing. And yeah, I kept thinking that, Zach. I'm like, okay, so you really would rather hang out with these absolute low-life scum these fucking disgusting individuals. You'd rather hang out with these people than like Emma Vigland and like Francesca Fiorentini and the people that at one point really supported you, that you did consider a friend, that you've all stabbed in the fucking back and thrown in the trash because they dared to criticize you. And now here you find yourself. It's like an Aesop fable, bro. It's like you fuck around, you find out. It's like, you know, I don't know. It's crazy. It's really fucking crazy to see this as the embarrassing next stage of her career after she's cut off and sacrificed everyone that actually cared about her, everyone that was actually a good friend and a real ally in a political movement. And also she constantly shit talks all the good work that she used to do, like the work that she did with Michael Brooks. You know, she talks about, oh, I look back at everything in my career from that era and I'm embarrassed by it. I contributed nothing to society. Right. That's what she said the other day on one of her interviews on her Substack, that she feels like from that period of her life, she contributed nothing to society, that it was a total embarrassment. She looks back and feels humiliated. Right. But it's like now you're fulfilled hanging out with these fucking Karens, having these discussions with some of the worst people ever that no one's even watching. It's all for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it gets worse from here, guys. This is 4 minutes and 38 seconds, and they go after all kinds of crazy shit, low-hanging fruit, bad overdone jokes. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how cringy it is.
This is someone who has committed violent crimes, who has no problem literally punching someone in the face 30 times. Like, I get that.
That is not a conviction, Anna. The ICE agents literally went and got him as he was mounting a not guilty defense, okay? You're not citing any evidence, okay? Just one man's word, one man's accusation against him, which, fine. If you believe it, that's fine. But what you're saying is this guy should be deported from our country because of one man's accusation, because of circumstantial evidence, at max 3 people's accusation. All right, we haven't even heard them before a jury of their peers yet. That's the whole problem, Anna. If this guy did punch a guy 30 fucking times, he should go to jail. Nobody on the left would argue with that. You know what we don't want to do? Destroy our entire democracy, get rid of people's right to a trial, allow Gestapo-like agents to camp outside of courthouses and intimidate people from showing up to get their actual due process, because that's what's happening right now. The reason everybody cares about this is because you have Gestapo-style ICE agents sitting outside of courthouses and abducting people before they have a right to their immigration trial, before they have a right to seek justice. So I know you're going to use this guy who punched somebody allegedly 30 times as an excuse to strip rights from everyone. But the real people that judge was trying to protect are not usually accused of punching somebody and assaulting them 30 times. They're going to their immigration trial. They're trying to have fair access to our court system. And you are out here with the people who don't even think you should be able to apply for asylum. You have to explain foundational American values to them and then try and launder them back. No, you're with a baked cake right now. And these people just hate immigrants. They don't want any more people coming into the country. They're afraid of the great replacement, and they actually cheerlead the disappearing and black bagging of Americans. So I don't even, it's just crazy that this is her camp now.
Left-wingers, Democrats want to always do the opposite of what the Trump administration wants, but let's take a beat and really reevaluate what's being defended here by Democrats.
And why is it being defended? That is more so my question. We understand that sometimes, just like legal citizens of this country, immigrants do terrible things. I agree. Maybe the parasitic label is going a little too far. However,
I don't think so in the case of wife beater.
I understand that, but I'm saying labeling immigrants overall. My question for you, being somebody who's more so on the left side of things, what is with the left's position to want to defend these people literally till the ends of the earth when parasitic behavior, and I'll give you that label for this person, is fully on display? Why do they want to defend it so much to the point that they're literally concealing and trying to get this person out of the judge chambers through a backdoor entrance?
I think the country had a problem with hyperpartisanship prior to Trump, but Trump basically took that issue and now it's on steroids. And so when your brain is so broken that you're unwilling to agree with the Trump administration on something that's totally agreeable, which is bringing this guy.
This is one of the things that, even to their credit, some Trump supporters and right wingers have criticized Trump for, have pushed back on. And Anna is agreeing that it's the Democrats whose brains are broken by hyper-partisanship, which is why they can't agree that what Donald Trump is doing is right and just. When, like I said, even some of the MAGA people are uncomfortable with this. Even some of the MAGA people are like, yo, this is not cool. This is literally un-American, unconstitutional, etc. That's genuinely fucking crazy. And I think that example there is proof that Anna Kasparian, she's bending to the peer pressure because she kind of said some things that were on point. You know, she kind of pushed back, but here she is more than willing to cave, to literally blame the Democrats and say that it's hyper partisanship, which is why they won't agree to throw due process out the window and shred the American Constitution.
Who's here illegally to justice and deporting him, you've lost the plot, right?
Also, he hasn't been brought to justice. That's the whole point. The judge that was overseeing his case told him to leave the jury door so that the fucking black bag Gestapo disappear agents strip you of all your rights and don't give you due process. People couldn't get him. That woman was trying to protect his due process. And guess what? If he'd have been found guilty, she would have sentenced him to an American jail or prison, Anna. Okay, that is due process, not being deported without a trial, without a jury, without any rights.
So I'm in favor of immigration. I think that immigration is what makes this country great. Obviously, I want legal immigration. I also understand that some people are going to try to enter illegally. There are people here with undocumented status who have been here for decades, who have contributed to this country, who have contributed and been productive members of society.
I think we need Native American.
Yeah,
and literally,
right?
Armenian Native American.
You said nobody here is a Native American.
Contributed and been productive members of society.
I think we need Native American.
Yeah,
and literally, right?
Yeah, and
Armenian
we need to,
parents.
Armenian parents. I mean, my parents came in legally, but look, I just think we have a broken immigration system, and I think we need to make it easier for people who want to come here and build, not only build lives for themselves, but contribute to making this country great. We need to have avenues in which they can do that legally.
That doesn't really exist right now.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. No,
but that doesn't address the fact that you cannot have these judges who are placed in positions of power acting like these vigilante warriors.
This woman was a liberal 8 months ago, by the way. So what she's doing is she's just trying to virtue signal like crazy to make sure that she gets her bread from PPD. Like, don't worry, Patrick. I can be the most deranged person. I can deliver the most insane Republican talking points. I'm a true believer. Like, it seems like she's almost still auditioning for somebody who's not in the room to prove that she's the most deranged conservative on the entire panel.
It's just so inappropriate. And Trump derangement syndrome is real.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for you here, though, for just a moment, because I happen to agree with all of you regarding this particular incident. However, I could point to several others. For example, a Trump-appointed judge, okay, and her name was, I believe it was like Stephanie Garrett. Does this ring a bell? She had a kid who was 20.
She's relying on them chat GPT notes.
Years old, who crossed the border as an unaccompanied minor, forgive me. And they struck a deal with DHS where they said, listen, these kids are now applying for asylum. You can't deport any of them right now until their asylum case can be adjudicated.
Right.
The kid is not a gang member.
Right.
He was arrested once for drugs, not dealing drugs, doing drugs. And out of the country he goes. And a Trump-appointed judge was like, no, bring him back. Then you've got the gay makeup artist who I briefly
and by the way, I actually wanted to say real quick, not to give too much credit to Jillian, but I do think she's the most comfortable on this panel. And actually the defense she's about to make of this guy and the fact that we should bring him back, I actually think she kind of outshines Anna as the person that's offering a quote unquote progressive or left-wing perspective on this. As you're about to see in the next couple minutes, she does a decent job here. I think better than Anna did.
In this one, guys, I'm with you on 99% of this, but this is where Trump goes off the rails.
I agree with you on that.
All right, there's a kid, his name is Christian. He's a gay Venezuelan makeup artist, a theater enthusiast, comes over from, as mentioned, Venezuela, all right? And he gets scooped up by ICE because he has 2 tattoos that actually mean mother and father.
Correct, yeah.
But they misinterpret them as gang tattoos. He applied for asylum upon entering the country. They deport him to El Salvador, that's not his country, to a prison. He's not a criminal. Then It's ordered, bring him back.
Right.
And not just any person, the mega person.
Do it. And this is where I would say to anybody who's 100% for this mass deportation, what about that? Why?
Also, it's crazy. To Gavin's point, she is the most comfortable, but she also just shreds Anna's point to her face. Anna tries to act like it's Trump derangement that's preventing liberals from seeing what's actually just about this. And she's like, no, actually, it's anybody with regular eyes sees that this is a problem and this is huge overreach. And then Anna tries to backpedal and agree with her and pretend she was on the same page all along. It's crazy. And to supplement even more what you were saying about how basically everybody is lackluster on the panel besides Jillian, you can tell she was on The Biggest Loser. You could tell that she's had to just kind of create that moment of chemistry, because what I think is really awkward for Anna and maybe Lindy and this other woman is that they're really familiar with how their show goes, but they don't have a lot of experience doing it in different environments. And anybody who's been in media, anybody who's worked in production will tell you, if you get really used to your home set, if you get really used to only being able to do it in your one environment, it's hard to come alive. It's hard to turn it on. It's hard to feel comfortable when you're doing that. And oh yeah, dude, I mean, all she did was humiliate people who struggled with their weight in a way that was totally disgusting and very much of the time. But I just mean, you learn how to just be comfortable in front of a camera. Nobody's watching you really. Nobody's doing anything, but you have to make sure that you're creating content organically like that. And she seems to understand the assignment, that there needs to be a little bit better pacing. There needs to be a little bit more personality to what's going on, because everybody else just seems unlikable.
Yeah, extremely unlikable, or at best, just like your drunk aunt at a family gathering who's like bitching and moaning about DEI for some reason. Like, that's what it sounds like we're listening to. None of these people are actually like journalists or like, credible in any way. We're talking about a fucking reality TV star from 2005, and fucking Anna Kasparian probably has the most credibility, and then Patrick Bet David's, mistress probably. Like, that's what we're dealing with here. It's not exactly like, informative. And it's not even really succeeding in like the juicy TMZ Piers Morgan way either. Because these conversations are also tired. Like, how many times are we going to have to talk about this shit? And it gets even worse throughout the episode, but none of them are really bringing anything new. They're all just repeating shit that you've already heard a million times said by someone more compelling. So yeah, it's very pathetic. But again, to Jillian's credit, she actually does do a better job criticizing the Trump immigration policy than Anna did, and it's about to get even better. She gets kind of low-key passionate here. Earlier, I was like, "Damn, Jillian, I didn't realize you cared so much about this."
Why is that happening? Someone answer that question.
Because the process is so slow right now that mistakes are bound to happen. Like, I think it's like
break some eggs to make an omelet.
Where's the kid?
He's deporting.
That kid is gay. Does that look like a friggin'
Wait,
gangbanger?
can I please finish this?
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry.
So, like, right now, Trump has made immigration his end-all be-all, but the rate is so slow because of this judicial slowdown.
Right.
He's encountering so many impediments. So he's trying to accelerate the process, and by virtue of that, mistakes are going to be made. Mm-hmm. But his base doesn't care. They don't care about it.
Let's talk about the mistake, though, Lindy. Let's talk about the mistake for a second, okay? Because we're talking about a guy who came into the country through legal means, okay? Applied for asylum, did so through legal means. He's gay, and the reason why he fled Venezuela is because he was terrified that the Venezuelan gangs in Venezuela were going to kill him because he's gay. So hold on, let me finish my point. He had a legitimate asylum claim. And if you want to talk about like, oh, well, mistakes were made, we're talking about a guy who was sent to an El Salvadorian prison where he's probably being abused in all sorts of ways.
You just defended the same agents who came and took that guy with no trial, with no evidence, with no due process. You just defended those agents coming to abduct somebody else, Anna. Literally, we're 10 minutes into the broadcast, and you have done a complete 180. You're like, oh, I understand. There's bound to be some mistakes. I still support it, though, but I'm just going to be aghast at the problems that occur. I'm not going to tell anybody to stop. I'm not going to be like, you know what? Maybe that judge had something going when she said, this is obviously illegal. I don't want to participate in it. I would rather give this guy due process, even though he's accused of battery and assault and a minor offense, okay? A misdemeanor offense.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Because of the fact that
we don't even know if he's
okay,
alive.
Can we just take a step back and ask a broader question? I'm actually with Trump on this. It's one of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party, because my views on immigration have been shifting right. Why is it America's responsibility to grant asylum? like why? Why is it our responsibility to take people
It's written into law.
I mean, and it's
Like,
something
why
that
do we
was
need to?
revoked, right, with the new
Yeah, like, I
administration.
agree- I
However,
agree with
but what
that.
about the people who were already here? And like
We can grandfather them in.
Yeah, but he came in here
Let's
on
grandfather
legitimate
him in.
asylum claims,
Exactly.
and we had this conversation at dinner, and you were telling me about this. I nearly didn't believe you. I'm like, are you
No, I'm
sure he
sure.
didn't do
I'm
anything
sure.
wrong? No, Jillian, I know. I went home and I did my
Yeah.
own research, and honestly, I'm really saddened by this case, and we need to have some type of
Oh,
recourse in
no.
place where it should be measure twice, cut once. But in the instance where there are mistakes, we do need to have
Bring
a
him
system in place
back.
and recourse,
100%.
and especially
Get
for
him back.
and there's many people
You
who are
get so
speaking
pissed.
out about this.
Yes, I
He's
agree.
stopping you from
She's like, bring him back.
Where there are mistakes, we do need to have
Bring
a
him
system in place
back.
and recourse,
100%.
and especially
Get
for
him back.
and there's many people who are
Anna's pissed because, like, as you said, she kind of came out with this tepid take blaming the Democrats or something for the immigrants and shit. But now Jillian Michaels is straight up out lefting her, even though she's a total vile, ghoul herself in various other ways and in other clips you're about to see. But she actually does kind of get worked up there. She's like, bring him back. And it is true. It's like, why doesn't the Trump administration just bring back these people that obviously they've, basically had to admit there was a mistake made, because it's making them look bad. Even if you're someone who's super pro mass deportation, it's literally hurting that cause.
Yeah, and I am glad that Jillian Michaels is making this case forcefully. I'm glad that it's not allowing them to all just kind of bulldoze over it. However, I will say that given what I know about Jillian Michaels, I think the reason this might be connecting with her on a deeper level is because she's been very, very vocal in her support for, the gay rights movement, the same-sex rights movement.
I would agree with you.
Lesbian woman.
Well, I would agree with you, but some of the timestamps we're going to react to later in the show lead me to believe that's not necessarily what this is about, because she straight up throws the whole LGBT community under the bus multiple times and even shits on the concept of gay pride at one point in this panel. But I would have agreed with you on that too, because of the fact that she's gay. I get it, but I don't know. Based on some of the other comments, I'm like, I don't know.
I think she's been lost to the turf thing, and they definitely have a bunch of cringy comments later on with the whole like alphabet overdone thing and all that crap. But I do think that on a primal level, she understands the feeling of being afraid because of your sexuality. And maybe not, though. I don't know. It's tough to say. That was just the one thing I can think. I'm like, how is she connecting to this person? And then meanwhile, like, and basically all other immigration talks, it's like, this guy's a woman beater. This guy's a crazy, violent man. We have to get rid of him. But in this instance, because he's a gay man, she has like this, empathy for him.
Do you want to skip ahead to 10701? Yeah. Because they do get into the gay pride conversation, and it's super fucking funny. Jillian Michaels going hard against the concept of gay pride. Pretty interesting.
It really reminds me of how like Morgan Freeman will come out and talk about how he doesn't like Black History Month. Like it's like that kind of same take.
Everyone is clapping and like cheering for her. Like, why? What did she do?
Let me bring up a point, actually, that I can relate to personally, because I want to shield you from this in the event someone thinks that it's because you're anti-trans. Being a gay person, I've never understood gay pride. Now, I'm not ashamed to be gay anymore. As I mentioned, in my your mom's generation, Gen X's generation, there was a huge amount of homophobia, and now arguably the pendulum has swung obviously the other way. With that said, I never understood that concept, because it's like, what is there to be proud of? I didn't accomplish this. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of a best-selling book.
I think in the beginning, gay pride was meant to make people who might be in the closet and they're terrified of their identity
not feel ashamed,
feel comfortable, feel pride about what their identity is. So
imagine having to explain that to a lesbian as a straight woman. You're like, yeah, I actually do think it's a useful concept. I defend its existence. I think gay people should be proud of the struggle of, gay culture and gay rights and the movement that led us to this place. Like, there's a lot to be proud of. What the fuck are you talking about?
Not only that, in this exact episode, they talk about how not enough people are proud to be American. So clearly they do have this understanding and pride in something you haven't accomplished. They talk about how, everybody's individuality has been prioritized and your background's been prioritized so much. Nobody takes pride in what we all have pride in, which is being American. Well, by your exact fucking argument, lady, you didn't accomplish anything. So I just do not understand. this is just a bunch of hypocrisy over and over again.
Yeah. And as someone in chat said, like, pride is really just about like being comfortable or being happy about who you are. It's not like, oh, I'm so proud of the fact that as a man, I just went on a date with another man, or like as a woman that I, am in a relationship that's with another person who's the same sex as me. Like, that's not what the pride is based around. It's just, being happy with who you are, being, accepting who you are, being proud of what makes you unique, in the same way that like, people that maybe are like part of the autistic community might have pride about that or something. Like, it's not like, oh, I accomplished something, give me a trophy. It's just and obviously Jillian Michaels knows that, but it's just a stupid conservative talking point meant to make straight people feel like victims and like, why can't I be proud of being straight? Why isn't there a straight proud?
Why isn't there what pride?
Yeah.
I think that gay pride actually made a lot of sense.
You do? See, I mean,
right now, I remember years after gay marriage was legalized and everyone seemed to be pretty accepting of gay couples. That's when it kind of became a little weird, right?
You ever heard of Fox News? You guys remember the groomer hysteria that just happened, like, I don't know, last midterms? That's crazy to pretend that there's no like backlash to just being a regular gay person. Gay teachers still face all kinds of prejudice.
Yeah, maybe if you live in fucking Los Angeles, then like you don't understand that or something. Like, oh, everyone seems so accepting of it. But like, that's definitely not the fucking case for a lot of this country, for a lot of the rural areas, not to mention even in the more urban or blue areas. There's still families that kids are born into where coming out is a big challenge or a big struggle, something that their parents make them feel shame about. Like, yeah, it's important, especially for LGBT kids, to make sure that they do feel like, yeah, this is something that you're okay to do. You're okay to be yourself. You're okay to come out of the closet, regardless of the consequences, because, being happy with yourself is more important than anyone's approval. It's ridiculous. And for Anna to jump on that too and be like, yeah, under Obama, everyone kind of got along with it. All the homophobia went away. That's literally no different than saying that once Obama got elected president, racism went away because, oh, we had a black president. How could you say America's racist? We elected a black guy.
Yeah. I mean, in the post Obergefell world, Gavin and I were still high school students for a little while. And I remember I personally had a chemistry teacher who was obviously a lesbian woman. And a lot of the kids knew that she was a lesbian woman and that she had a partner that lived at her house with her. And she was very successful. And she was such a great chemistry teacher that she'd actually made an independent nest egg for herself selling science kits in the early 90s. And she was so good at teaching chemistry. She was an older woman at this time. She was so good at teaching chemistry that the Science City has a competition with every single high school in Missouri at the Kansas City Union Station that you can enter in. And they won it 3 times in a row, winning the school $150,000 in funding. And they won it so much that they had to stop. She would still make the kids participate, but they stopped entering to win because her students were doing so well. She could not come out as a lesbian at school. She had accomplished so much. She couldn't, her partner was never able to come to any of the events at our school with her. She never was able to celebrate with her at the events after the kids won the Science Olympiad. That's an ingrained, entrenched prejudice from within the last decade that I experienced in my life. Not personally, but watching her and being like, this is so fucked up. Like, everybody else would bring their spouse to this. Everybody else would share in this moment, but you can't because you're an Olathe school district teacher and you're afraid of the backlash even after you've accomplished all of this. So that's why it's important to have gay pride, I would imagine.
Because it's like, all right, I mean, everyone's on board now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen anything from Sarah McBride that makes me uncomfortable. Sarah McBride doesn't seem to go around like
suggesting the fact that she's celebrated just because
she was
by virtue of her accomplishments.
Exactly.
To be fair, I mean, there are a lot of people in the country who are pretty hateful toward transgender people, even when they're not causing any problems.
That's true.
When we're not talking about, medicalizing children. I mean,
absolutely.
But if
she's an adult.
her role, then what does trans?
Even when she makes a good point, she has to throw in some shitty right-wing dog whistle, like, "Oh, well, it's okay to accept trans people so long as they're not medicalizing children." It's like, Jesus Christ, bro. You almost had a good moment there. You almost had a sane moment where you looked good in contrast next to these fucking Karens, but nope, had to ruin it. Either way, this is a level of discourse we're dealing with. Can you believe that people are celebrating the first trans congresswoman for being trans? What has she actually done? We should focus on people's accomplishments, not just their identity. Like, bro, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It's okay to do both. You can be like, yeah, it's important that this person is the first ever trans woman elected to Congress. That's pretty cool. And then also, yeah, obviously, you should assess what that person is actually doing. Is she a good congresswoman? But both things can be important. Both things can be acknowledged.
Yeah, it definitely gives it a try. And some of them, I'm sure, are good people crossing the border. Yeah, it's insane. And remember when Anna would constantly get on not Fox News, Freudian slip, get on TYT and give this argument that conservatives aren't actually anti-trans. They're just concerned about what's happening with the children, right? Oh, they're just concerned about protecting sports. A lot of people in this country take sports seriously. And we were like, no, dude, they hate trans people. They want to make their lives harder and worse. They don't consider them equal parts of society. They don't think that they should have equal rights. They don't think that they should be able to transition. Those are the people that you're getting in bed with. Those are the people that you're justifying and validating and laundering the opinions of. And she was like, no, you guys are crazy. You're intolerant. You don't understand that these are just regular people with some good faith concerns. And now she's being confronted on a panel with these people. And it's like, no, I just don't like trans people. I don't care anything about them. I think it's a problem. I think it's a scourge. And I want it to stop, basically.
Yep.
Transgenderism.
There's a chance the Ethan thing might be starting soon. So we'll definitely want to keep an eye on that. I know that I think he just went live. So do you want to go over here?
I have it. Hassan's not on yet.
I know. I just wanted to see if he was going to say anything interesting to set this up. But
is calling in, of course, at 12:30. I have 10 minutes to schlep around here. So I want to say, first of all, thank you to Shopify for sponsoring us. I also want to thank my lovely wife.
My lovely wife. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ethan's wife. So yeah, we can probably watch a little bit more of this if you want. I know there's one timestamp where Lindy Lee straight up defends the concept of the great replacement theory. So I can find that real quick if you want to react to that, Zach.
Yeah, definitely. And here we can skip to this one right here because this is like the most overdone bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Okay, that's where it should end, right? Okay. We have queer, we have questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit. What the heck is a two-spirit? Anyways, androgynous and asexual. I knew there were two A's. I thought it was ally, but it's androgynous and asexual. Do you feel like these types of acronyms are actually helpful?
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I have no spirit, so I'm kind of are they really?
Wah, wah. It reminds me of the Tim Heidecker meme.
Yeah, literally.
Like, you're literally doing that comedy. You're literally doing Jim Brewer comedy. But yeah, let me get to that Lindy Lee clip really quickly here. There's also a total boomer moment where Anna and Jillian Michaels are like, oh yeah, there was no identity politics in Gen X in the 80s. Gen X was so the best generation. And I was like, Anna, you are barely Gen X if you're Gen X at all. Just own that you're a millennial.
Also, this is another great one, Zach, if you want to hit that even before the 15.
What's that one?
They're talking about the LGBT thing, and Jillian Michaels says something that's so fucking stupid.
Oh, here, let's try that.
Sorry, there's a lot of timestamps, guys. It's overflowing with stupid.
Who you like to have sex with? Is it acronym? So first of all, is it who you like to have sex with? Is it how you identify? And somehow everyone's in it. But you guys, hold on. The queer people, I don't even know what that means, by the way. Gays are in there, bisexual people are in there. So you sleep with women, you sleep with dogs, you sleep with everybody's in there except the heterosexual.
Dude, what the fuck is going on?
She's talking about the acronym LGBT, and she's saying that everyone's in there except for straight people. Why? And then listen to this. She's about to.
The dogs wasn't it? Oh my god!
You guys don't have a letter. Where's the H?
And there's ally. No, there's ally. There's ally. So that is for the straight people. They
no, I think ally. Isn't ally for asexual?
Oh, there's two A's now. They added. No, there's two A's.
You'll never get to the bottom of it.
Jillian, every year they add a new letter. It's like LGBTI.
It looks like a Wi-Fi passcode at this point. There's so many letters. It looks like a Wi-Fi passcode.
To that point, this is why the Democratic Party is doomed.
This is literally a fucking parody. This is literally a fucking like Tim Heidecker style parody. There's so many letters. There's letters for the dog fuckers, but not the straight people. Yeah, they're letting the dog fuckers into the LGBT community, but not the heterosexuals. Can you believe what society has come to, Zach?
The degradation, Gavin. I, for one, am appalled. I remember the good old days when there was only 3 letters. They're not 85, 69, 420 genders. I don't even know what happened to this country. I don't recognize it anymore.
Oh yeah, and let's hear this real quick too, because Lindy's about to defend
migrants coming in. And I can't believe I'm playing this role, but I'm about to say something controversial again.
Do it.
Shocker.
So
You're kidding.
the great replacement theory that they call neo-Nazi ideology.
Okay, explain for everyone what that is.
So for those who aren't familiar, it's the idea that Democrats are letting in millions of people from like South America, Central America, like random parts of the world, Africa, whatever. And they want to bring them into these Democratic strongholds, and they're registering them as voters to create this permanent, illegitimate electoral majority. And when Tucker Carlson said this, when other people said, when Elon said it, they labeled him as Nazi, as Hitler.
As Hitler.
You mean when he did a Sieg Heil in front of an audience of fucking white nationalists? Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and also like I don't even like she's kind of fucking lying, to be honest. When people talk about the great replacement theory, they're talking about being replaced as whiteness. They're talking about white people being replaced as the majority race or ethnicity in this country. It's not even so much about the voting thing. Like, obviously that's another conspiracy that's also very racist. The Democrats are, they're letting in all these immigrants because they think that people of color are more likely to vote for Democrats or whatever. But really the great replacement theory is about white fright, about their status as the majority being overtaken by another race, but more brown people living in this country than white people. That's what it's about. And of course, she's not going to talk about that. She's going to make it seem like, oh, people are just worried about, the voting demographics and shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy too, because, she's just 100% trying to get a job. What she is doing is she's trying to make more money. And this is
looks like she got a job on this fucking shitty Valuetainment show.
But I think that's why she keeps trying to act like she's the most deranged conservative on here. She's trying to kiss up to Patrick Bet-David. She's trying to make sure that he wants to keep her around. You know what I mean? And this is the natural conclusion that you go to when you start changing your politics to chase money, just like Anna has done slowly but surely. I mean, these are the kind of fucking dogs that she's laying with. She's going to get some fucking fleas.
The dog fuckers.
The dog fuckers.
They're fucking the dogs.
They're turning the dogs gay.
Yep. Is there anything going on over on the H3 stream?
I think they're still waiting for Hassan.
I
just checked. Hassan's also just kind of chatting, killing time on his stream. So I think they're just going to wait it out until exactly 2:30. But
cool. I'm going to go pee real quick. We can watch a little bit more of this. But yeah, everyone buckle up because it's about to get crazy in here. We are going to watch the Hassan-Ethan debate uninterrupted. So super excited to take it in with you all.
Yep.
In English and then dumb it down to 6th grade level.
There's a whole backstory to this.
That's her entire politics.
And Jordan Peterson is touching on that backstory without actually naming names. And I thought this entire conversation was hilarious because he was essentially trying to convince Rogan to avoid having certain people on his podcast. Is
that what was happening?
Yes,
Candace Owens,
100%. Right? No. Well, maybe Candace Owens, but this wasn't really about Candace Owens. This was about 2 people in particular. One is Dave Smith, who's Jewish and a libertarian. The other individual was I'm forgetting.
Daryl guy.
Yes, Daryl Cooper.
I actually talked to Rogan about this.
Yes.
I thought it was Douglas Murray. Either way, we can be done listening to these fucking clowns. Basically, rock bottom for Anna Kasparian. I think she's really hoping that this turns into a kind of a long time gig for her. But let's go ahead and turn on this Hassan stream. I figured we'd watch with Hassan instead of Ethan. Don't want to give Ethan any fucking money. But I'll go ahead and turn on Hassan's audio here in 1 second. But yeah, we're going to rock and roll. We're going to watch this whole thing with you guys and then break it down afterward. Not going to pause it. And we actually can't pause it because it's the live stream version over here. So you'll get all of our thoughts when it's over, but it's time.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Hassan Piker.
I guess like it.
Hello, Hassan Piker.
What's going on?
Oh, shit.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.